Welcome everybody to this simple demonstration of using Sketchup to create a 3D drawing of a part. And this part is essentially a bracket that is 50 millimeters wide and 100 millimeters in length with 4 holes, 2 on the horizontal base and 2 on a vertical face. So the first thing that we need to do is create a new drawing, and we will use the simple template that is millimeters because the drawing that we are going to draw has dimensions in millimeters. Now SketchUp will open up a view that shows a little figure of a man there, or a human, and this gives an indication of the scale of the view right now, and this is way too far or way too big for us to view at this time. So we need to zoom in quite a lot to be able to draw our part, because it's only going to be 100 millimeters in width. Alright, so get in about that far and we shall delete the picture of the human. Next we will draw a rectangle, and we do that by just clicking on this icon here, rectangle. And if you don't see rectangle there, you might see a circle instead. You need to then just select the rectangle tool and click once with the left hand mouse button on the origin. Now at this point I'm no longer holding the mouse button down, but I can drag out the rectangle here. And what we want to do is just key in the dimensions so that we get the exact dimensions that we want. So I'm going to key in 100, 50 and hit enter. Now you see that the rectangle is not actually the rectangle that I want. I want it to be 100 millimeters long instead of wide. So I'll hit the undo and try that again. So again, rectangle tool, select the tool that you want, click on the origin once, drag it out, and this time I'll type in 50, 100, and there you go. So that's the rectangle that we want. Now I'll zoom in by just rolling the mouse button to give us a bigger view, and there's a few operations that might help you in terms of moving around the diagram. If you hold down the middle mouse button, you are able to rotate the view around the object that you've drawn. If you hold down the shift button on the keyboard and use the middle mouse button again, you can actually pan the view without rotating. Okay, so now we want to draw another we want to extrude the rectangle. So we go to the push-pull tool here and we select push-pull. We click on the face of rectangle once and we just drag this upwards. So I'm not holding the mouse button again at this point in time. If you click on the mouse button again, you'll find that it'll drop the rectangle, it'll select that height of the rectangle at that point. So if I click now, that's the rectangle that you're going to end up with, but that's not what I want. So we'll hit undo and we'll do the push pull again. Click once and let go on the mouse button and drag it up, and now we will type in the depth of the rectangle, which is 10 millimeters. Okay, so that's the first part. So we now need to draw another rectangle, and we'll go back to the rectangle tool and select this corner here, and the rectangle we want is somewhere along that face. So this time we know that the dimensions of that rectangle is going to be 10 millimeters by 100. Okay, and let's put the rectangle where we want it, and again we'll do the push pull on that rectangle. Now you can zoom in to make things easier for yourself, and just extrude that, and we want the height to be 40 millimeters because there's 10 millimeters in the base already. Alright, so we now have this L-shaped object that is 50 millimeters high and 50 millimeters wide and 100 millimeters long. So what we're going to do now is try and draw in the holes. So in order to do that, let me just rotate it a bit. We need to put in some construction lines first. So let me just draw a line and select the line tool. The thing with SketchUp is that you will try and guess what you're trying to do. And so if you put the line, the little pencil icon, which is for the line tool, on the edge and just move it along the edge, it will snap to the midpoint. That's exactly what we want. So we click once on the midpoint and we just draw a line right across to over here, which also selects the midpoint of that line, and we do that again upwards. And that we've done these two lines which will be deleted later on after we've drawn our circles. Next we want to draw a circle, and we go back to this tool here, but instead of a rectangle we're going to select a circle. Okay, again we're going to use SketchUp to try and use the ability to guess what you want, and we move it until we find the midpoint over there. Now I'm not clicking the mouse button at all. Now we then find the other midpoint over there, and we just move it across until we see two midpoints, and that will give us exactly that midpoint for that half of the object. Right, and again just click once and drag it out and type in the exact radius that we want, which is 10 millimeters. Okay, so we do the same again. Find the midpoint here, find the midpoint over there until it lines up, drag it out, type 10 for the radius, and there you are. The same again here, midpoint here, midpoint there. Try again. Try it over here. Yep. And we just hit 10. Sometimes you might have to give it a few tries at different positions because it's SketchUp trying to guess what you're trying to do. Okay, now we've drawn our circles on the object, and we need to make these circles holes. And here the push-pull comes in again. So we select the push-pull again, and we select this face here, the circle. Click once and let go. And now we need to extrude it. Now if you drag it upwards, it becomes this tube that extends from the circle. You want to go in the reverse direction, but unfortunately it will actually go past the face. So what you need to do is rotate the drawing and select the face that you want it to snap to, which is this face. That makes the hole perfectly. You do the same, select that once, click on it once and let go, select the face again, and we do the same for the other circles. Alright, and there we have it. We've got our 4 holes. But we're not done yet. What we want to do is make the corners a little bit rounded, so we'll add this rounded chamfer, and to do that we need to just use an arc tool. So we click the arc and we will select this arc, and I'm not fussed as to how big the chamfer is, so I'm just going to kind of put it roughly there and click it over here, and you'll notice that it turns purple when it becomes a tangent. It says tangent on edge, and that's exactly what we want. And we want to do the same on the other side, so I'll pan across by holding down the shift button and using the middle mouse button. So again, I'll zoom out and maybe pan down, make this easier. Might have to zoom in to make it easier. Yep. So you notice that you can actually zoom and pan in the middle of an operation. So you can actually zoom in to try and make your job easier in the middle of an operation. Okay, so we've done these little chamfers there, and then the next thing to do is just extrude them like we did with the circles. So that face, slide it on. Yep. And that face. And the last one. Okay, so we're now getting close to the finished diagram that we want. There is one more rounded edge that we need to make, and that's on the rear of this little part. So we'll just flip it around, and again we'll use the arc tool to just make that a little bit rounded. There we are. And we do the same with the push-pull. And there we have it. So the part is almost finished. The only thing left to do is to remove our construction lines, which is that one. You highlight it and you can just hit the delete button on the keyboard, or you can just erase that. And there we are. That's our part that we've drawn. Now we're not quite finished, because what we want to do is dimension it, and the way to dimension the drawing is quite simple. If you go to this tool here which says dimensions, and sometimes you'll see that icon in place. It remembers the last thing that you use. Okay, so you might see a tape measure instead. What you want to do is select that and change that to dimensions, and let's try and dimension it. So we will select the origin and maybe this part. That's not working, so escape. Try that this way. Sometimes it doesn't work one way, so you'll have to try it another way, and here we are. That works. And just click it out and just click the mouse button where you would like to put your dimension. Now you'll notice that it is 50.00 millimeters, and that's way too accurate. We don't need the decimal point, so we'll click on this little tool here on the right, which is the display, and my mistake, next one, model information, and select the position, which is this one. We don't want any decimal points, so that's 50 millimeters, and that allows us to change the number of decimal points that we have in our dimensions. So we will continue to dimension it again. So now we want the height, and we'll go down to origin, just pull it out, and there we are. So 50 by 50, and next we want, I'll just close that. Next we want to get the length of this, so we'll select that point. Yep, and we go around to the other point, and that's 100. Okay, and notice that the dimensions actually change even if you, such that it's still reading the right way, even if you rotate the drawing. Okay, and we do have one more dimension to go, and that is how thick that is. So we'll actually put it up here. And drag down. Okay, now you'll notice that it's a bit hard to read that 10 millimeter dimension. So what we'll do is we will select that and click on the right hand mouse button and select the text position and say it's outside at the end, and that will put the 10 millimeters outside there. And there we are. That's our part that we've just drawn. We can turn off the axis if we go back to the display here, and just hide the axis. So, and that's our diagram. Okay, all right, thank you very much for watching.